And we're joined by Wendy Patrick. She's a prosecutor and legal analyst, and with us in studio, Starr Hopkins, a Democratic strategist and attorney. Thank you both for being with us. Wendy, we're hearing reports that Republicans have hired a female prosecutor who specializes in sex crimes and in preparation to hear Ford's testimony. Remains unclear whether she would lead the committee's questioning there. But what do you make of this development?
Well, first of all, I think it's an attempt to have a fair and full cross-examination of Dr. Ford's testimony. It's true that any accuser has a right to be heard. But in terms of the kinds of questions that need to be asked to expose the things the senators want to hear, they want to bring on somebody who knows what she's doing, who is experienced with the types of questions that are designed to elicit the kind of background information that will test her credibility, her perception. Remember, Judge Kavanaugh even last night said maybe she was assaulted. He's saying he wasn't the assailant. All the sorts of things you would see in a criminal trial, because let's face it, there is no legal due process in a Senate hearing. And it's an attempt to bring a little bit of due process to this and make sure that Judge Kavanaugh is not presumed guilty until he's able to basically prove a negative, that he didn't do it.
Michael, why would there be an objection from Democrats for more of a due process, as Wendy said? We've heard from Christine Ford's attorney. He says that this is not a criminal trial for which the involvement of an experienced sex crimes prosecutor would be appropriate. Why would it not be appropriate?
Because we haven't even done the investigation here. The Republicans have stopped the FBI from investigating.
There was a background check on Kavanaugh, 6 FBI background checks.
Absolutely.
Nothing came up there.
Which is problematic because now we have 2 allegations which didn't come up in the FBI investigation. So you would assume that the FBI should investigate that.
So why not have a proper due process, experienced sex crimes prosecutor ask the questions that need to be asked?
Because we have senators who have pledged to do their duty, that they're going to ask questions and inquire, advise, and consent, which is what their constitutional duties are. And what they're trying to do is escape the optics here. And because you have senators like Orrin Hatch who have attacked the credibility and the character of Dr. Ford, and now they want to hide behind a female prosecutor. This isn't about actually wanting to get to the bottom of this, because if they wanted to get to the bottom of this, we'd have an investigation. They're trying to rush this through, and that's what the problem is.
Wendy, is that fair? Is it just about the optics that we're having this hearing at all?
Well, I don't think anybody could disagree with my friend Michael about the optics issue. I think we're all in agreement there. But it looks bad, but it doesn't mean it's going to be bad. But it also has to do with the question of why should there be an investigation when there's already been 6? Most people joke, Michelle and Michael, that they couldn't pass 1 background investigation, much less 6. And what is it going to show at this point? Witness memories, unlike fine wine, do not improve with age. If anything, in fact, they've even tried already. Different investigators have been tried to, well, is there somebody else? And remember, do either of you remember who was at a certain high school party? Absolutely not. So the fact it would just delay the proceedings, it is unlikely to produce anything new, and it's not within the FBI's jurisdiction to do it. Remember, they were involved with Brett Kavanaugh because they wanted to see if anything that showed he might be a threat to national security, not whether or not an allegation from 36 years ago was true, and would be in the same position as we're probably going to be at the end of the hearings, inconclusive. One of the reasons that they're probably going to call a vote on Friday.
Michael, Democrats are denying that this is a political ploy to just try and run out the clock here. But why did they sit on this for so long? Because that's still a question that hasn't been answered.
So Senator Feinstein has said that she didn't turn over that information because Ms. Ford didn't want to go public with it. And so it wasn't until that Dr. Ford wanted to go public that then she turned over the information.
Will Ford show up?
Oh, absolutely. I think Dr. Ford will show up. I hope that we have Judge, the friend who hasn't been subpoenaed yet. I hope he shows up. I think the second accuser should show up. And I think that the fact that we're hearing Republicans say that this time frame, 36 years, makes it unbelievable, I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Well, it is hard to prove things that happened so long ago, or more importantly, to try and disprove them, because it seems like the onus is on Kavanaugh to prove a negative. And we have the Democratic Senator from Hawaii, Hirono, saying that the Supreme Court nominee doesn't deserve the presumption of innocence because of his ideological agenda, because he's opposed to women's rights. Wendy, is that fair?
No, it's not fair, and I think that I wish she would walk that back. Everybody deserves the presumption of innocence. Everybody deserves an opportunity to be able to face the accusers, to confront and cross-examine. That's our system of justice. Judge Kavanaugh is going into this with none of those legal and evidentiary procedures. The Senate is going to do the best job that they possibly can, but even then, we can't prejudge. You know, allegations should be taken seriously, but they spark investigations, not convictions.
Michael, Republicans are pointing out the hypocrisy of the Democrats with regards to how this is being treated as opposed to accusations against Keith Ellison, the deputy chair of the Democratic National Committee. His ex-girlfriend accusing him of domestic abuse, physical and verbal harassment, has medical records. She says that Democrats don't believe her and have brushed her off. Is there a double standard here?
No, Democrats have called, and myself included, I've called for an investigation into Keith Ellison. I've called
Dianne Feinstein hasn't, according to the ex-girlfriend. She says that she's being pushed aside.
But Dianne Feinstein is one member of the committee. I think Democrats overwhelmingly have called for an investigation into this. We've called for an investigation into the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. We've called for investigations into Russia. The only people who don't seem to like investigations are Republicans. I think at the end of the day, if there's nothing to hide, then let's have an investigation. Let's have an impartial group ask questions, get to the bottom of it, and then we can move forward.
All right, we are out of time, but thank you so much, Michael Starr, Hopkins, and Wendy Patrick.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks to you both. All right, coming up.